Hello y'all and welcome back. In this video we'll be exploring the problem of divine foreknowledge and human freedom. If God already knows what you're going to do, how can you be said to do it freely? The most famous solution to this problem arguably originates in Plato in the aforementioned Timaeus, but it is without question developed into its fullest, most complete, and most famous form by the philosopher Boethius. Anicius Manlius Severinus Boethius, a late 5th, early 6th century Christian philosopher, fascinating guy. He works for an Ostrogothic warlord, Theodoric, who takes over after the fall of Rome, and astutely puts Boethius in a position of great political or at least administrative responsibility. And Boethius serves faithfully until he's executed on some trumped-up charges. But he does a lot of engaging at this intersection of kind of philosophy and Christianity, these questions, and so he's addressing this question. And Boethius's answer to this problem is very simple and very elegant. You see, you have the ability to observe what's going on in the present. You're observing, I guess, a video of me now, so you're not observing very much, just one person talking, but one thing. You also have the ability to observe the past using your faculty of memory, and we exercise this in the EDQ for this particular module when I had you come up with different memories. What you're doing there is observing the past using this faculty. And Boethius says, well, God is like you and I, except he just sees the future as well. So you can see the present, you see the past with memory. God also has the ability to see the future. But nobody would say that because you're watching me, you're observing me, that you're somehow making me do what I'm doing. Nobody would say if you're, the analogy is not perfect because you're watching a video, but supposing you're watching me live in class. Live makes it sound like a performance, but I'm lecturing there just right in front of you, right? Nobody says you're making me talk. And Boethius says, well, just like you're not making the person in front of you in a lecture do what they're doing in virtue of watching them, God, in virtue of watching you in the future, is not making you do what you do in the future. He's just observing. God observes all moments in time, past, present, and future, but to observe someone doing something is not the same as to make them do it. So this preserves both divine foreknowledge, God just watches you in the future, and human freedom, because we're just doing it, and you're just performing those actions freely, not made to do them because God sees you. Now, central to this particular solution to the problem is a very particular view both of God and of time. You see, God, says Boethius, is outside time. Here we have to be very careful with our language. We can't say God is before time, because before and after only make any kind of sense in the context of a timeline. Say the 2020 election is before the 2024 election. So you can't say he's before time or after time, but he is outside time. He is beyond time. He's without time, says Boethius, as it were. And he observes past, present, and future in a single perfect instant. Here's where language is often used incorrectly. When we talk about time, we often, and sometimes in religious or other contexts, will throw around the word eternal or eternity, using by that word to mean time just forever and ever and ever and ever without end. Strictly speaking, though, philosophically at least, that is inaccurate. Time just going on forever and ever, the term for that would be everlasting. Eternal is something else. Eternal is the mode of life or the mode of existence reserved for God, at least according to Boethius. And you can illustrate this in various ways. This is a flawed analogy, but here's my way of understanding it. So you and I can focus on one thing at a time. So one thing at a time. So imagine one thing at one time like a mathematical point with zero dimensionality. Now supposing that you had just tremendous cognitive capacity, so you could in some way take in many things at a moment in time, just boom, right? Supposing you could be aware of everything going on in the city of San Antonio at a single moment in time. That would be just another dimension of existence, right? You'd be just so much more capacious in your mind than any other human being. So that would be like extending that mathematical point out to a one-dimensional line. Now supposing that you could take in at a single moment in time everything in the universe, just bam, you could somehow be aware of it. Okay, this is like you're already at sort of a God level here, but you're taking in everything in the entire universe at a single moment in time, just boom, right? That would be like extending that one-dimensional line out into a two-dimensional plane figure, say a square. But now, you see where this is going, now imagine that you could take in everything in the entire universe at all moments in time, just bam. That would be like extending that two-dimensional square right out to a three-dimensional figure, say a cube in this case, and you're outside it and you're just observing the entire thing at a single moment in time. That, says Boethius, he doesn't use that exact analogy, but that is eternal. Eternal is the mode of existence God has, taking in all of space and time in a single perfect instant, whereas everlasting is existing throughout all time. So if we have this metaphysical framework, this way of understanding God's existence, we can see how God just takes in the future, including your future actions, in a way that doesn't compromise your free will. Now, this view is simple, it's elegant, it may be true, but it relies very heavily on a very particular view of time, and it's a view of time that not everyone subscribes to. So very roughly speaking, there are two primary views of time. The view of time that this Boethius solution view depends on or relies on is a timeline view on which all moments in time, past, present, and future, are laid out on a line, as it were, such that God can just observe them all simultaneously. This is what is known as the B theory of time. The B theory of time holds that all moments in time are equally real. All moments in time are equally real. Now, the shrewd student of philosophy will say, Herrick, you can't just throw out a term like real like that, just casually, where your whole view rests on it and not define it. So define, what do you mean by real? What does that mean? It's too vague. Okay. So you have a moment in time that you think is real in a special and privileged way. And you've always thought this way. And you think that this moment in time is real in the way that all other moments in time are not. In fact, in some sense, you think that those moments in time are not real compared to this moment in time. And you think this moment in time is so special that you have a special word that you will always use for it to designate its special elite status, and you use the word now. The word now, right, for us, picks out a moment in time that we see or perceive as uniquely real in some way. Past was real, it had its turn. Future will be real, it will have its turn. But now is real in just a special way, and as soon as we grasp it, it's gone. And you see right away, okay, on the B theory, that can't be the case. So the B theory says, okay, good. Take that sense of real, that sense of reality that you do now and have always ascribed to the word now, and just give it to all moments in time. All moments in time are real in the way that you think now is real. So your 8th birthday party and your retirement party and the asteroid hitting the Earth and wiping out the dinosaurs, rest in peace, right? And all other moments in history, equally real. They're all totally equal. And of course, what this means is you can't use the word now. There is no now. I mean, you can use it, but it just is a feature of your very limited and skewed perception of what is actually real. So all moments in time are equally real. There is no now. This, I say, is the B theory of time, and Boethius' view relies on it. But you might not unreasonably raise some concerns about this particular theory. We'll look at those concerns and some possible ways you might answer the problem in light of those concerns in the next video. Thanks.